Hello, welcome to the Student Support Portal interview series. Today we have Michael Humphreys, the CEO and founder of the Student Support Portal. So Michael, you're very, very welcome. How are you?
Very well, thank you. It's nice to be on this side of the camera.
Great, Michael. Now, would you mind telling us a little bit of information about how you have come to be the founder of the Student Support Portal? A little bit of inside information from behind the scenes, please.
Sure. So I started, I suppose, my professional working career as a social worker. I worked at that for about 10 years in Northern Ireland here, and mainly in family and childcare area. As part of that role, I started working with children who have disabilities, and then moved from that into solely supporting students with disabilities. So I was quite fortunate. I got to meet all of the publishers and manufacturers of assistive technology and hardware and software products, which, as a parent of a child with a disability, that was hugely beneficial to me. I was able to reach out and get software and hardware support for my own child. And as part of that, I realized that other parents don't have that facility that I had. So I think that very much influenced the setting up of the portal and why I did that. And it certainly plays a large part today in what we offer through the portal.
And what do you then see as the main opportunities for parents on the portal?
Well, for parents, I guess parents are very similar the world over, that if we have a child with any kind of additional needs, what we want for them is just to reach their potential. So through the portal, what we're offering those parents is the ability to connect with the companies globally who produce supports for all different types of needs. And I'm deliberately avoiding the word disability because I think the negative connotations of that alone dissuade our children sometimes from engaging in really good supports, but because they have that word disability tagged onto it, they don't want to go to disabled student services, but they will go to student support. So it's all how we phrase it and couch it to our kids, that level of engagement that we'll get from them.
Yes, it is fascinating that not only do you have the professional experience there, but you also have a personal experience. And I think that's what makes you quite unique, in that you're able to consider what everybody's needs are and to ensure that they get best from the community. Now, on the community, there are obviously a lot of technology providers and software, hardware. Would you be able to please explain to us what some of those look like?
Yeah, there's a huge range of supports there. Probably the ones that most people would be familiar with would be the dyslexia support tools. There's some fantastic companies such as TextHelp that are internationally known for their products and provide excellent supports for students at all levels of education, whether that's one of the key stage levels or moving into further and higher education. But there's also lots of little niche providers, and I'm delighted to say a lot of those are based in Northern Ireland. We are a real centre of excellence for innovation when it comes to, well, we call it EdTech. I guess parents would just know it as software titles that help with disability. But there are so many providers out there that part of the role of the portal is to filter those and to bring the best of breed, if you like, to parents and make them aware of these titles that are there. Some of which cost nothing at all. Others can cost several £100s. But as a parent, you're more than happy to invest in those sort of titles if you just know what they are.
Yes, and then if a parent is wanting to engage with those types of technology providers, how do they do that within the online community?
Well, there's a couple of ways they can engage. One is that peer-to-peer relationship. So as a parent, I want to hear from other parents what they have thought of software. not to disrespect the software publishers, but ultimately they're there to sell a product. And their sales teams will do their best to sell a mind mapping application or a typing tutor or whatever as part of their role. But really, you want to hear from a parent. You want to know that, okay, that person has a 13-year-old son or daughter. They have used this particular product, and that product either worked for them or it didn't. So I think there's a certain level of credibility, I think, from other parents telling you that this product worked for their son or daughter. And that's not to take away from the product. It's just some products are better at supporting different types of disability or different types of age group.
Yes, I completely agree with that. I feel that nobody knows their child quite like a parent. So if you're getting referrals from your peers as to what they found works, that sounds like the best way forward. Now, the portal has only been launched within the last year, so it's still fairly early. Where do you see the portal going in the future?
I think we're going to break off into two distinct areas. The parental support. It is quite straightforward that parents will come on, form a community and discuss the supports available, and they'll get additional input there from our team and from the assistive technology publishers and providers. The other quite distinct side to that is that we're going to bring on board schools. So school teachers, SEN workers, learning support coordinators, management in schools, and even at CEO level internationally. All of those professions and individuals need specific one-to-one support in SEN. Especially, it's a very innovative market. There's new products coming out nearly monthly. So if you've qualified as a teacher 10 years ago, how do you get to know about these latest developments unless there's some sort of a community platform that you can very quickly tie into, and you can see what's worked for other teachers? My wife's a teacher. She's constantly saying that they've got more and more work to do and less time to engage in the actual art of teaching. So we want to make the platform very easily accessible by teachers, and if you like, almost rate the products that we're promoting. So as they don't need to wade through hundreds of solutions, they can just go straight to whatever will work for that particular student they're trying to support.
Yes, it certainly is exciting. Now, I know what the developments have been so far, even within the last 4 weeks of me being with the business. But could you tell everybody watching a little bit more about the geographical spread of where the portal is now?
Yes, well, when we started, it was a very small idea. It was simply to connect parents with providers. And I'm based in Northern Ireland in Belfast, so that was my logical remit and what I thought we would cover. But we very quickly realised having a child with a disability or additional needs, this isn't a Northern Ireland thing. It's an international problem we're trying to solve. So we already have traction in India and Dubai and certain states across the water in GB, as well as our Northern Ireland schools that we're working with. So I think it's really just taking on a life of its own. We will maybe watch and see which country approaches us next. But whether you're a dyslexic child in America, Canada, Dubai, or Belfast, lots of the supports are still applicable for those children.
Yes, and as we've said already, we are particularly focused on the additional needs market. But have you received any interesting feedback from some of the schools that are already taking part and engaging?
Yeah, so we approached them initially thinking a small subset of students would benefit from assistive technology. We were thinking 10 to 15% of the school population. And what we actually are finding through the pilots that we're running are that many of the assistive software solutions are simply good practice for everyone. A good example of that is That Thing I Do. Its founder is Sarah Ashfield, and she's a teacher herself. And she created a resilience and mindfulness well-being series of videos. Those were initially intended for students maybe with ADD or ADHD or autism to try and get them into a mental state where they could focus on study. And what she found was teachers were coming and knocking her door and saying, how come when we look into your classroom, everybody is just calm and working? What are you doing? So she very quickly realized that there are supports that just benefit everybody in the school. So we certainly try and raise awareness of those types of product with the schools when we're speaking to them. And we're receiving feedback from the Senkos all the time to tell us which of those products are beneficial for the entire class.
And are there other types of organisations that have shown interest in the online community?
Yes, well, SEN, so special educational needs and disability support, and there's different terms for it in different countries. Some call them students of determination, others use the quite old-fashioned term of disabled, others talk about inclusion, but many governments now are looking to integrate this concept of inclusion in the classroom. So there's plenty of funding for it in UAE. They've recently announced that every school must have an inclusion department, and to get their special status, they all have to achieve outstanding in that. So there's huge awareness and potential globally at the moment, just to make sure our classrooms are inclusive for everybody, not just a student with a disability you can see, but every student in the class can engage with the tasks that are being undertaken.
And obviously in 2020, across the world, we're all in a very unusual and very difficult situation. Can you explain what benefit the portal might have to people at this time of crisis?
I think we're quite fortunate in that the type of supports we're offering actually support students when they have to work out of the classroom. So we hear a lot of talk about remote learning and blended learning, and there's lots of new phrases for that now being invented by people. But what that basically means is a student will be at home, a teacher will be in the classroom, and the student will be submitting work back and forth. We've got Google Classroom, there's Seesaw, there's quite a few large players now in the market. So I very much see our platform as working alongside that. If a student's working at home, they can access their assistive software technologies on their own laptop or iPad or even phone in many instances. And then when they come back into school, they can bring that technology either with them on their own devices, or they can access it through the school platforms and portals that they would have there.
And for a parent on the portal, Michael, during this awkward, difficult time, what do you see the benefits being? You know, you yourself having a child with additional needs.
That's a good question. I guess a lot of the parents will all be in the same situation, regardless of which country they're in. So if you're at home trying to pretend you're a teacher and homeschooling, like a lot of us have to do at the moment, all of those peer supports will be very useful, I hope, on the platform. So if you want to post up a question about how to best support your child at home, you can be assured that another parent on the platform has already done that and hopefully received support from another one of our members. So you can then pay it forward to the next parent when they post a question, and you can let them know what your experience is.
Thank you for watching this episode. My name is Anna Egner, Community and Business Development Manager of the Student Support Portal, and I'm here to answer any questions. You can contact me via anna@studentsupportportal.com. That's ANNA@studentsupportportal.com, or alternatively, message me on my portal profile. Many thanks.